So the team is telling me to go first, and I'm no expert. But I want to give you a little bit of a history of my background in dealing with grievances from the managerial perspective. Not unlike the presentation you heard this morning from Chief Stewart, I went into management in Halifax region shortly after regionalization. And the first collective agreement was done through arbitral process. And the stance of the new association at that point in time was basically to grieve everything. So we were a evolving and changing organization, having been brought together out of 38 separate fire departments. And of course, there was a significant amount of change going on as we were trying to put new policies and procedures in place and standardize equipment and processes. And the association at that point in time was not willing to sit down and discuss anything. They wanted everything to be handled through the grievance and through the arbitral process. So the strategy that we took, and I know a lot of people are probably going to go, you got to be kidding me, but the strategy we actually took was every time we instituted or were about to institute a change, we would start a binder and we'd start doing our research into the particular change we were going to make and what the arbitral law was supporting whether or not management could make those kind of changes. And we'd actually start to prepare our briefs for arbitration before we'd even announce the change in the organization. And the entire strategy was to get the union to stop doing what they were doing, which was taking everything to arbitration. I've always been an advocate of not keeping a scorecard, but at that point in time we did keep a scorecard, and in the first 18 months after amalgamation, we'd been to arbitration 31 times, and management had won all 31 arbitrations. So we brought the union executive into the boardroom and asked them how the process was working for them, and asked them if they would like to start talking about doing relations in a different manner. And fortunately, they did, and in that particular case, they have been freely bargaining since then and have been negotiating all of their collective agreements up to the current one that they're at right now in Halifax, which is a 12-year collective agreement that has 3-year reopeners on certain clauses. And my understanding is that the current reopener is probably going to go to arbitration. But that's 9 years into the 12-year agreement. So I think that's a pretty good success right there. Fast forward, I arrive out in Calgary in 2005. The department out there has not had a bargained collective agreement since 1993. In fact, they've always lagged typically about 2 years in the